From the bobbies on the beat to the staff working back at headquarters, every single police employee in England and Wales has faced a background check, prompted by the actions of these two Metropolitan Police constables. David Carrick, who admitted dozens of rapes and sexual assaults spanning 2 decades, and Wayne Couzens, who kidnapped, raped and murdered Sarah Everard. 2 men that caused unimaginable harm. Harm this data wash hopes to prevent from happening again.
One case is too many, but I think through this work that we've done, what I can do is reassure our communities that, they can trust policing. The majority of our workforce do have the absolute integrity and are committed to keeping our communities safe.
In the southeast, the data wash uncovered 6 people of potential concern that forces were not already aware of. 3 from Kent, 2 from Sussex and 1 from Essex. But that doesn't include the number of police employees under active investigations, whether that's criminal or disciplinary, raising questions over how many more officers, staff and volunteers are considered a potential concern. Last month, ITV Meridian uncovered hundreds of allegations made against police officers and staff in our region. Data from Sussex Police found there were 31 live cases against them, and there were 15 criminal and 18 misconduct investigations ongoing against employees in Kent. Essex Police refused our Freedom of Information request, but the Chief Constable told me their vetting is one of the most robust in the country.
There was one person in this force that we discovered we didn't have the right records in place for. Now, I'm not complacent. That doesn't mean to say things don't go wrong in this force, or that we've not had to deal with people, but what it tells me is we know the extent of our problem.
We want to make sure the public have the full picture on this. You mentioned the one case that was highlighted by the data wash specifically. Away from that, how many active investigations are there against Essex Police employees right now?
We've got lots of investigations going on. I don't know off the top of my head here.
Really?
The number. I really don't know.
The Chief Constable of Essex Police doesn't know how many officers and staff are under investigation
I've got the exact number, about 130 different conduct or misconduct investigations underway.
But you've just said 130 are under active investigation. Don't you think they're of potential of concern as well?
Oh yeah, that's the point. So I'm not saying that...
That's misleading from the data wash then, isn't it?
Well, no, the data wash tells us that it checks that on the police national database do we know what's going on in our force?
But survivors of sexual abuse at the hands of police officers fear current vetting procedures along with the data wash won't root out all of them. Catherine says she was raped by a specialist officer in our region. She's a serving officer for a different force. We've changed her name and voice to protect her identity.
We had consensual sex to start with, which I think is how we planned it, but then I started to feel really drowsy and unwell, and I went to bed, and then I woke up basically with him strangling me.
And as a police officer yourself, was your first thought to report it?
No. I'd messaged friends and told family members what happened straight away, but I was reluctant to tell police because I was worried how it would impact my career. I also know how you're treated as a victim. You're blamed, you're expected to act a certain way, and if you don't, then you're not telling the truth, I went there willingly, I had consensual sex, so who's going to believe me? I don't see how this re-vetting is going to change anything because these people haven't been convicted.
Catherine told police 3 days later, and her attacker was arrested and released without charge due to insufficient evidence. When she appealed, a detective chief inspector said her delay in reporting it was one of the weaknesses in her case. Even though the investigation resulted in no further action, Catherine wants her alleged abuser to be the type of character that is flagged a potential concern. Right now, he's not. A system, she says, could deter other victims from coming forward, but she stresses that it shouldn't.
I still think people should report, even if it happened years ago. It's difficult because it may amount to nothing, but that's ultimately why I reported it. Because if what happened to me happened to someone else, there's a record of it, and it builds that pattern of behaviour, which is the most important thing to get a conviction.
Well, Jo joins us in the studio for more on this. So, Jo, what I don't quite get, this is a project that was all about transparency, and yet the figures kind of leave things a little bit unclear.
That's exactly right, Matt, because each police force has vetted their own employees and they've identified a number of people who are of potential concern. But that's not a number we're told about. They pass all that data to the National Police Chiefs Council, who then do a thorough check of it, a fine-tooth comb check, and that's where those figures from the data wash have come out today, those extra few, and that's why that number is so small. We don't know about the others. Forces argue that the data wash shows that the public can trust the overwhelming majority and that there aren't many issues that they don't already know about. But the public don't know about them, and that's the key thing here. Charities are questioning how the public can have absolute confidence when they don't know what's going on behind the scenes with these investigations and how many there are. The Centre for Women's Justice say the figures simply do not stack up. It's about transparency, and without it, survivors like Catherine, who we heard from in my piece there, says that actually it will deter victims from reporting complaints because they don't think they'll be taken seriously.
So, answer the question, what does this do for public confidence in the police?
Well, look, we went to a media briefing about this yesterday, and Chief Constable told us the key thing is there will be nowhere to hide now. And that's the key thing. It will join the dots up. If an allegation is made about a Sussex police officer over in Kent, Kent will tell Sussex about it automatically. It means there will be a continuous screening of everybody in policing, daily, weekly, so they can keep an eye on this. Most members of the public have good experiences with the police. They can trust them. This report doesn't change that. We just don't quite know the full picture yet.
OK, very interesting. For now, Joe, thank you.